To learn the workflow of converting a request to a contract summary, let's use the incoming requests we made for the George Washington painting. Click on the request to get to the preview. Let's send the preview to John. We can add the message, "Hi John, please take a look at the license terms. If all looks good, let me know and we'll issue the license." We'll click Add Preview so that John can see all the details. After it's sent, you'll see a record in the Notes section on the right. So let's pretend you've heard back from John. He agrees to the terms and wants to proceed. At this point, it's time to indicate in the system that you're now in the process of issuing a license. This is a way of organizing your work, much like the difference between a company drafting an estimate versus sending an invoice for payment. This is what we call converting a request into a contract summary. On the black bar, select Convert to Contract. By doing this, you're initiating a workflow, moving the request to the area where all your contracts will be saved. Don't worry, if John changes his mind and decides to cancel, you'll be able to flag it as canceled in the system. There are a few subtle changes. The request ID is now a contract ID, and the contract date is today, the date you converted the request to a contract summary. If this had been an outgoing request, outgoing would change to received because you have received the license from another rights holder. Other than that, nothing is different. Just like requests, your contract can be found in the contracts listing in the left nav. Here you can track their status, whether they are active, expired, or pending. As an example, at your organization, you may decide that contracts can only be set to active pending payment or the receipt of a sample. In our case, because you've only taken the step to move it into the contract section, it defaults to a status of draft. Clicking on the contract brings you back to the preview screen. From here, you may also set statuses and send the contract summary. Selecting Send Contract will bring up a message box just like the one you've seen in the request workflow. What you're doing is sending the completed contract summary for final review, along with any message you might want to add. Let's send this to John. In the message box, we'll say, "Hi John, I'm sending the contract summary for your review. If everything looks good, I'll send the contract for you to sign." After sending the contract summary, change the status to pending. When you receive confirmation and a signature from John, we can then change the status to active. Choosing active status for contracts requires that certain fields be completed. If any section is missing required information, the bars will be red. Within each section, you'll see required fields are marked with red asterisks. In our example, we forgot to indicate information about the cost of the license. We did not indicate whether our museum would charge a royalty. From the pricing section, we can mark the Not Applicable checkbox to indicate to John that no royalties are due. Now that it is selected and complete, we can change the status to active. There are two more statuses for contracts, expired and canceled. If the contract is time limited or connected to a project that has ended, you can change the status to expired. And if John decides he can't go forward with the license, you could change the status to canceled. That's it. You're now an expert at converting requests to contract summaries. In the next tutorial, you'll be learning about the dashboard.